Today is Monday, October the 30th, and this is what's happening in the condo market this week. Thanks for checking out this video. Haven't done one of these in a long time. The reason being the condo market has been absolutely insanely hot. It's been launch after launch after launch this fall, and buildings are selling out in record time and in record number. So speaking of which, the first thing I want to talk to you about today is a couple of headlines actually around the same story, but a couple of very different headlines. So talking about the fall condo market and what's happening, the Building Industry and Land Development Association, so BUILD, they released their numbers for the September market for low-rise and for high-rise. And the first article is from the Globe and Mail, and the headline from that says pre-sales of new low-rises in Toronto take steep dive. And then you start reading the article, and pre-construction sales of new low-rise homes fell 73% in Toronto area in September compared to a year earlier. Sales are down 73%. Wow. So you're reading that, and people are sharing that on social media, and they're saying, see, look, the sky is falling, the market is crashing. Sales are down 73%. Now, interestingly enough, you get the same data, another headline in, this is from the Toronto Star publication called New in Homes. And their headline says, average price of new condo in the GTA increases 36%. And so, again, they're talking about the same data. Build just released their sales figures. New condo sales are on pace for the 10-year average. So many sales per month, 83% of these, and it goes on and on, basically talking about how hot the condo market is. So very interesting that you can take the same set of data released from the same thing, and you can draw two very different conclusions from it. So a couple of things, a few lessons sort of I want to point out to you from this for condo investors as you're reading headlines, as you're studying the market to figure out what's going on. A few lessons from this. Number one is don't rely on headlines. Always look beyond the headlines at the actual data itself. When you look at the data itself, in this case, you see that there is a very different market happening between high-rise and low-rise. The low-rise market, sales are certainly not what they were before. High-rise market, condo market, sales are at all-time highs. And like I said, buildings are selling out in record time and record number. Second lesson here, 1 month does not a trend make. I say this all the time. The media loves to latch on to stats from a particular month and try to tell a story about the market based on a month. It doesn't work like that. Seasoned condo investors, you understand this, you know what I'm talking about. But if you're new to investing, that is one of the key things you want to always look at is when you're reading these stories in the media, how much time are they looking at with the particular data set? So in this case, it's just 1 month's worth of data, September data. We can't tell what's happening in the market based on 1 month. You have to look at the greater trend of what's happening over a longer period of time. There can be wild fluctuations from 1 month to the next in the market. So that is not something that we need to do as investors, as people analyzing the market. But unfortunately, that's a very common thing that happens in the media all the time. So be aware of that. The third lesson is it's a little bit more subtle, but new development, new condos, new low-rise housing, it's a largely self-correcting industry. What I mean by that is if the market slows down from the demand side, then the developers can simply slow the market down from the supply side. So if demand is down, then sales are naturally going to be down as well. Builders are not going to put new product out in a market that's cold, in a market that's not looking for that new product. Builders will largely, for the most part, just pull back their product and wait. Just sit on the side and wait. Most builders in Toronto area are large builders who are very well funded, and they're not in a rush to put product on the market if the market isn't there for it. So people who are waiting for and hoping for massive price correction in the new home, new condo market, it's very, very rarely ever going to happen. Even if the market does take a significant slowdown period, if prices in the broader market start to fall. In the resale market, you usually don't see the same thing happening in the new home and new condo market. Reason being because builders will simply just not put new supply on the market, and they'll wait for that supply that's already on the market to be eaten up, and then they'll introduce that new supply. So that's something to keep in mind. Prices are very sticky. They tend to be very sticky in the new. I'm not talking about resale. I'm talking about the new home and new condo market. That's a pattern we've seen time and time again. So if you're waiting and hoping for those prices to fall, or if you know somebody who is, tell them it's very unlikely to actually happen. And the fourth lesson is that condos are not the future of GTA housing. Condos are the present of GTA housing, as well as the future of GTA housing. Condos are sort of everything in this market now. The stats again, it's only 1 month of data, but it gives you a bit of a snapshot of what's happening, and it does speak to the bigger trend of more and more condos are being built and fewer low-rise homes are being built. So in this case, I believe the number is from the article is 83%. 83% of all new homes and condos sold were condos in the month of September. So the vast majority of new product being added to the market, both now, today, and in the future, is going to be condos. This is the new reality as the GTA is maturing and as we are growing up and not out. And finally, I wanted to bring your attention this article from CBC, and it's very interesting. Toronto Condo signs on to first agreement in Canada to regulate Airbnb rentals. So buildings in a dozen U.S. cities have done similar agreements with the company. So Airbnb is a very big topic. I'm actually going to be doing a podcast later this week about Airbnb, so you want to pay attention to the podcast this week for that. But basically, the condo building downtown in Fort York, I believe, the Fort York neighborhood there, they have signed an actual partnership agreement with Airbnb to sort of help regulate it, and the condo corporation is actually going to take some revenue from each of the individual owners. Interesting. So a lot of people are asking me about Airbnb. I'm still on the side of, it's a very risky thing to do if you're a condo investor, although it's potentially lucrative, potentially very tempting to get into that market. Short-term rentals as opposed to traditional long-term unfurnished rentals. It is a very risky strategy from a number of levels. I've done podcasts about this. You can check out the risk side of it. So I'm still not in favor of this as a strategy for most investors, certainly in most buildings. But this is an interesting development. If more buildings actually take this approach, this could potentially open up new opportunities for investors in the future. Investors who want to look at doing the short-term rental model, investors who have a bigger appetite for risk. Maybe that's you, but you want to have a greater risk, greater rewards type of scenario. You can earn more income through Airbnb, yes, but there are potential downfalls as well and risks as well. So that's something to definitely keep our eyes on as this develops moving forward. Okay, that's everything for this week's video. I hope you enjoyed this, and until next time, have a great week and happy investing.